Hi guys, my name is Rukia and my speech today will be on how social media affects mental health. So let's begin. It's just social media. I only use it to connect with those I don't see on a day-to-day basis. I'm fine, it's no big deal. You ever pick up your phone and get on social media when you're actually supposed to be doing something else? Maybe homework or housework or even sleeping. And instead you realize that you've been scrolling for hours upon hours. And you realize, and you ask yourself, well, where has all my time gone? It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. All the statements that I just mentioned in the beginning of my speech were all said by many people, including myself. There are many people who still don't think that social media can in fact affect one's mental health, even if only a little bit. There are people who struggle from low self-esteem due to idolizing photos and videos that they see on social media. Also, there's also the feeling of worthlessness by seeing those who are always looking like they're just having the time of their lives on social media, just 24/7 having the time of their lives. They don't do anything else. The lack of sleep that comes from scrolling when you in fact should have been sleeping, which is something that I'm also guilty of, can cause sleep deprivation. Sleep deprivation can lead to things like depression, anxiety, and other mental health problems that just come down the road. However, social media isn't all bad. There are good things that come from using social media as well. You can use it to connect with those family members you haven't seen in a while. It's also a great tool to promote businesses, invite people to parties, and more. It's not some evil thing that's out here to hurt people. However, it could do some damage if used incorrectly. As mentioned before, the developed issue of low self-esteem can be generated by the overuse of social media. While the problem of low self-esteem partly starts at home. Now, don't get me wrong. I do understand that this is not always the case. However, people do need to believe that they themselves are worth it, and they are worth living, and that they are beautiful inside and out. There's only so much an outside source like me or you can do to help those who suffer from low self-esteem. Most of the times they need to believe it and see it within themselves. Sadly, a lot of times people do not believe it and see it within themselves, so they turn elsewhere, even if it's not on purpose, even if it's subconscious, if they do it subconsciously. And that's where social media comes in. Social media is relied upon heavily today to boost that self-esteem when it can, in fact, do the opposite. According to the article, does self-esteem have a positive impact on the world? There are arguments that social media can actually contribute to sadness and loneliness. There are people who don't even feel like that they're good enough if they don't get enough likes and comments on their pictures that they post. Still think that it doesn't affect people? Stay with me. Social media is everything to people nowadays. It's everyone's means of communications, virtual interactions, and a way to present oneself in a light that is accepted by others. If a photo or video that you shared isn't accepted, people now use the comment section to tear you down and make you wish that you never even posted at all. How crazy is that? People will cancel just about anybody. In today's world, to cancel someone is the act of punishing an individual, usually by means of social media, for words or actions deemed unacceptable. There was a study on some college students that mentioned that they even felt worse after using Facebook the more they used it. Spending too much time on Facebook can contribute to feelings of inadequacy, which is probably why those college students felt the way they felt. People only show you what they want you to see on social media. While we ourselves may be mentally or verbally comparing ourselves to what we see on social media, they may in fact be doing the same thing. It's quite a dirty cycle. And then we begin to wonder why our lives aren't as fun or lively as the next person that we've been watching. So we spend all night falling into the deeper rabbit hole that is social media. Again, I'm also guilty. I do not take myself out of this. I'm guilty of falling victim into the social media rabbit hole when I should instead have been sleeping. I'd wake up the next day wondering why I have a headache or why I'm so tired. So then I began to cure that issue with another issue, my coffee habits. Most of everybody have their coffee habits, right? However, this can in fact change the sleep pattern. Well, did you know that the change in your sleep pattern can at times aid in depression? According to the article, Chronic Sleep Deprivation and Gender-Specific Risk of Depression in Adolescents, studies show that sleep deprivation is associated with the likelihood of about 40% higher number of people that report depression in young ones aged 11 to 17. Our teens today are growing up in a world that is fixated on social media. So the depression that's caused by staying up all night furthermore impacts the issues of self-esteem that I mentioned in the beginning. However, on the other end, even though social media has its downfalls, if used poorly, if used correctly, it could do a lot of good. Ever since the early 2000s, the main feature of social media has been the interaction amongst its users. Now, given that wide range of interactions, a lot of up-and-coming businesses use those interactions to promote those new businesses, and rightfully so. For example, before choosing a new hairstylist or someone to do my nails or something of that nature, I check their social media first before choosing, just to make sure that they are good at their craft. And I know I'm not the only one. As social media platforms continue to grow, the more people that you can get in contact with, more than you would normally imagine on a normal basis. People and companies all over can view your work as well. Whatever your craft may be, whether it's hair, fashion, photography, anything, you name it. It's no secret that social media is widely used by enterprises as a marketing strategy tool. There's even a social media specifically for companies and businesses where employers can find resumes and job seekers can post those resumes. I'm sure you've all heard of LinkedIn. The use of social media has become quite important in a business's marketing strategy, almost just as important as having a website for your company. Here's a chart that shows companies the fundamentals of a social media marketing, and how you can use it to be successful. Now, it mentions that when posting, you want to make sure that you post useful, entertaining, and relevant posts. You also want to make sure that you post photos, videos, lives, and stories in order to make sure that you're able to connect with all of your customers, new and existing. It's also a plus that in most cases, social media happens to be a very cost-effective tool. This tool can be used for companies to be able to build these good relationships with these customers. Customers can ask questions directly and possibly get them answered. In conclusion, social media does have its good qualities and can do more than could imagine. However, if overly used and if used incorrectly, it can weigh heavily on the mental health. Like everything else, social media must be used in moderation. The more we overly use it or idolize, the more it's overly used and idolized, the more damage it can cause. Staying up all night scrolling on social media can pose more problems than anything else. Sleep deprivation has been proven to interfere with day-to-day life and cause things like depression and anxiety. So if we put the phones down and get a good night's rest, we can dominate the next day and the next days to come. Looking at celebrities are not all bad on its own. We have to keep in mind that people only post what they want us to see. They don't want us to know that that their lives aren't as glamorous as they make it out to be, or that they are also depressed. They want to show us the flashy cars, the new houses, or how much jewelry they can put on their bodies at one time. We cause ourselves to lose self-esteem when we compare ourselves to those people we see on social media that's only posting what they want everybody to see. So let's put the phones down. Let's take our faces out of the phones and see what real life has to offer. Thank you.